Good evening, and welcome to Thinking Thursday. I'm your host, Bronwyn Lucas, and I am so glad you're here tonight. We have a guest who's having difficulty logging in, and we're just going to see what happens. We are definitely going to go with the flow and hope everything works out. They're diligently trying to get in. Thank you all for being here tonight. Tonight is a little different. We're talking about gratitude. And when you think about gratitude, you don't often think about the psychological benefits of gratitude, but that is what we're going to talk about tonight because gratitude truly has some psychological benefits, some health benefits. So it's physical and mental health benefits just to being grateful. But as always, we're going to start with some deep breathing. Now, there may be some of you it's your first time um, joining us. And if so, you don't know about our deep breathing. So let me tell you. We always start out with deep breathing because deep breathing allows you to um, decompress, relax, get rid of some of that tension. It's the end of the day, no matter what kind of day you had, good or bad, you might need to just woosah. So if you're going to truly take in deep breaths, you're not going to breathe just to your chest. You're going to breathe all the way down and fill those lungs up. So in a moment, when I ask you to inhale, you're going to inhale so deeply you feel your stomach expanding because that air is just going all the way through your body. So here is what I want you to do. Just to make sure you're practicing it, put your hands on your stomach. And when you breathe in, you're going to feel that stomach expand. So let's just try it. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. One more. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully that gave you a moment to just decompress for a moment and get some of that pressure and tenseness you might have experienced. Um, as I said, we will be discussing gratitude and the benefits of gratitude. And we have our guest, my cousin, Felicia Williams, who's going to join me as we talk about why in the world would somebody want to even practice gratitude. Felicia, how are you?
I'm great, cousin. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for joining me. And what we had a little technical difficulties getting started in the beginning, but that's okay. And I didn't get to tell her, but I'll tell you and her at the same time. So today I was thinking about the show and thinking about, man, who would I like to have on a guest? And I didn't even call her to ask her, but she had been on my mind all day. And I just jokingly said, you ought to come on tonight and join me from this topic. And she said yes. And I was like, God, you are so funny. Been on my mind today to ask her, and I was like, no, it's too late. I should have asked her ahead of time. So thank you. I didn't actually talk to her until what, 5 o'clock almost?
Right.
She was like, sure, I'll do it. So I'm like, that is awesome. So thanks so much for being here with me. I'm going to put up a PowerPoint just to share something on the screen. So let me get that ready for us so we can just talk about gratitude. And so I like to define things. But first, Felicia, introduce
Yeah.
yourself. What would you like to just introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and all that good stuff, what you do.
My name is Felicia Williams. I'm gonna refer to myself the way Brownwyn and Sonia refer to me as their baby cousin.
Yes.
And before my recent, I'm gonna call it my recent test. I was a real estate broker. I had my own farmers insurance agency. and a tax office prior to my writ. So that's what my profession was, being a businesswoman, a mother, woman of God, and just family oriented. It's what I am.
Felicia is that person who, if she touches it, it's going to work out. Yes, she is a businesswoman. She's had several, and they've all done well. And so she's going to talk tonight, though, a little about some challenges that she's faced, but how she still manages gratitude. I am very big on definitions and make sure we are all talking about the same thing. So I decided to look up the word gratitude and let's just share that definition. Gratitude is the quality of being thankful. It's readiness to show appreciation for and return to kindness. What in the world does that have to do with our health? Well, we are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the benefits of it. But Felicia, before we talk about the benefits, I want you to just share. You've had some challenges, as you say, the test you're going through. And some people go through tests, and being grateful is not the thing they want to share. Can you tell us a little about the test you are still going through?
Well, I'll just kind of start from the beginning. I know we did a segment on hope. And then after hope, there is a gratefulness and gratitude after gratefulness. So back in April 9th of 19, when I had my car wreck, of course, I didn't know I passed out behind the wheel. I didn't know until about 2 weeks later. I guess I thought I was in a long dream or something when I woke up that I had probably about, I want to say they said maybe 2 to 3 surgeries. And I had been slightly sedated for 2 weeks. So I had no idea I had been into a wreck with Metro Rail. I had no idea that my body was broke up on my left side from head to toe. But as far as gratefulness, immediately I was grateful that I did not die. I was grateful that I didn't lose a limb. Most of all, I was grateful that I didn't suffer a brain injury. Versus everything else that was broke up, you find that one thing that you're still grateful about, and that's being grateful for life, regardless of how the condition my body was in. Grateful that I wasn't a vegetable, and that the small things I began to put in perspective, regardless of the trauma I had faced.
And just to add to it, how long were you in the hospital?
A year.
Yeah.
But I was blessed to get home a couple of weeks before COVID. And that's even out of the hospital, out of rehab. I got home just in time where I was not exposed to all the things that we were facing during this pandemic. Another grateful aspect was I did not have to stay there any longer than what I did. And then after that, watching all the people that were in the hospital, including the medical professionals that were getting caught up with COVID. I had 30 blood transfusions when I was in the hospital.
Wow.
Which compromised my immune system. And I thought about that. I said, I'm so grateful because I'm looking at how many people were attacked by this pandemic. Just grateful I was at home, even though it was hard being at home, bedridden. Even though I came home, I was still bedridden for another year. And when I was transported by ambulance. Then when I graduated to the wheelchair, I was grateful again. So, for every step of this testimony, I found a way to be grateful. Grateful, yes.
Thanks for sharing. Now you can see why I wanted her here tonight. If we're talking about grateful, here's someone who, in the midst of her trial, it's not just because she's on this side of it, even in the midst of her trial, her test, her trial, the tribulation of it all. She was still grateful. Before I left Houston, I remember having the opportunity to take her to doctor's appointments, to take her to, it was therapy, I think, something early in the morning, being able to do it because she's able to be grateful. So that's why I wanted her here tonight as we discuss grateful and its benefits to your health. We don't often think about that if you're grateful, it impacts your health, but it does. So that's what I want us to really look at. Wow, being grateful. So we're just going to kind of talk about some of these. What does it mean to be grateful and how does it impact your health? So we're going to, okay, let me go back. Let me go back to screen share. Not that. And we put it back up. So here are some benefits of gratitude that I want to talk about. First one, it says gratitude makes you feel better about yourself. That's something I started with that one because it's something we don't even think about as a side effect. When you're grateful, it makes you feel good about you. You know, it takes away some of the negativity. Coupling gratitude with things like positive mantras to help you increase your own confidence and even more. What do you think about that, Felicia? That gratitude makes you feel better about yourself.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because, I've seen situations where, I'm going to say in rehab, where I walked in and it might have been a bad day. Trust me, we all have days where we feel down. But I remember times where I got up and they came to get me out of the bed and I really didn't want to get up. That was when I was inpatient. But then when I forced myself to get up and I was able to roll down to the therapy facility on the first floor, I began to feel better about myself because when I look across, there's another patient there that don't have legs at all, that that can't get up. So it makes me feel better about myself, makes me say that, I'm down. And at that point, I couldn't feel my legs, but I didn't have to look down and not see my legs. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. And that's that perspective of going, like I said, you could in pain, in intense pain, but it's like, you know what? I can still be grateful. And then you begin to feel better about yourself. It doesn't take away the pain, but it changes your mental attitude. And that's a big part of healing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It says that gratitude can improve your physical health. And what you just said really fits in with that. Because as you went down, you could have stayed in the room. You get up, or you get up, you're in the chair, they roll you down. And if the mindset is, I'm just so tired of this, I'm tired of the pain, I don't want to do this, you're not going to put in the same amount of energy into working either. Wouldn't you say?
Yes. Also, you tend to get past the pity party of why me.
Mm-hmm.
We all have that, especially
Right.
when I first woke up, I looked around and I was grateful. People were standing around me. My children were standing across, like facing me on each side, crying. And the first thing they said to me after I guess they were surprised that I woke up and I opened my eyes. And the first thing they said to me was, Mom, the doctor told us it wasn't looking good for you, but we didn't give up on you, And I don't know, it's just it could be very emotional sometimes,
Yes.
even talking about it. Sit down.
Yes. I can see that easily. Um, I want to look at this one because, I say that there's really no difference in psychological well-being and physical health. Physical health and mental health are all part of our health. When we look at mental health and think about it in terms of gratitude, there are actual studies that have been done to talk about how your gratitude can impact your physical and psychological well-being. They did some of the studies included people who would let me think because I read lots of them today. One group was they had three groups. They had a control group, then they had one group that was given told to focus on the negative, and one was told to focus on the positive. So for a week, at the end of the day, you were supposed to write. The positive group, the gratitude group, was to write 5 things they were grateful for at the end of the day. The group that was basically, looking at the negative attitude was just told to write 5 things that went wrong that day. And the control group was just told to write 5 things about your day. So it could be good or bad, just 5 things about your day. At the end of that week, they looked at the responses, and then they looked at how well the people slept, how well they felt at the end of the day, how positive they were feeling, how they reacted to different situations that they put them in that they didn't know. They had the different people come in and do things. The people who were in the gratitude group, who were told to write 5 positive things at the end of every day, 5 things they were thankful for, they were shown to be more happy at the end of the day. They responded more positively to negative situations because they were focusing on gratitude. And different variations of these studies have happened, over the years. And each time, those who practice gratitude, they function better. There are studies that show people sleep better when they are more grateful. They have more positive emotions. So in a negative situations, people who genuinely regularly practice gratitude or have a gratitude mentality, they respond better in negative situations.
Yes.
Just because they're used to being grateful. And this was, again, grateful people sleep better. What do you even think about that when the grateful people sleep better?
Well, yeah, because you tend to appreciate the small things in life, being able to sleep. Um, and it's wow, it's wonderful you mentioned sleep because for months I couldn't sleep because my injuries were so bad. I had 13 surgeries. My ribs were crushed. The ribs in my breast were crushed, which I didn't know we had ribs in our breast. That was really like crazy for me. But I said all that to say because all of my ribs were broke, and by the left side of my body being crushed, I could only lay on my back, and then I couldn't lift my legs or my arms because I couldn't feel them, and I had to depend on someone else to um, lift me, turn me, and my bed could not be elevated up. You know how you have an adjustable bed in the hospital and you can elevate your back up? Well, I couldn't do that. I had to lay flat. So being grateful to sleep better, that came a year later.
Mm-hmm. Because you could truly appreciate what it means to not be able to sleep.
Yeah.
And when it comes to how does gratefulness impact your sleep, if you think about it this way, if you lay down at night and in your head you practice everything that went wrong that day, are you going to sleep good? Or if you decide to say, what am I grateful for today? And when you think about it, when you are practicing this gratitude mentality, it tends to put a smile on your face. It's harder to frown when you think about the good things that happen to you. So if you're going to bed with that smile on your face in feeling better, you are going to probably sleep better just because you're in a better mood. It's not complicated. I have 5 in each one. The gratitude also increases your mental strength. And I just don't mean like the psychological well being, I mean your ability to think clearly. Again, if you are in a funk, just having a bad day, and we all can, doesn't that impact your concentration and just how you function overall? So if you stay in that just having a yucky day mentality, it impacts just how you think, eat, sleep, breathe, do everything, because that's what's guiding you. The yucky mood. I'm just in a funk. If you decide, like I was telling my baby cousin today, I woke up, man, before 8 o'clock, everything I had tried had gone wrong. Paid $100 for a conference, supposed to be able to get in, couldn't get in. Was stayed on a call for an hour and 20 minutes, only to still not get what I needed. Went somewhere else and everything didn't work. So I could have said, it's just going to be a bad day, and you write it off, it's going to be a bad day. Or I just said, man, what a challenge to this day. Let me move on and just move to the next thing. And that's a simple thing, but sometimes we let even the simple things in life overtake us. The day started off, 5 things go wrong before 9 o'clock. We can decide it's going to be a bad day, or do we? Because if we choose to say it's going to be a bad day, we have simply made that choice, and it will be, because we chose to say, oh yeah, it's going to be a bad day. And when you make that choice, you don't think as clearly, you don't do as well. There was in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, they found that gratitude was a major contributor to resilience following the terrorist attacks of 9/11. Recognizing all that had been done, people who were directly impacted, when they found things to be grateful for, they were better off afterwards. So gratitude also increases our resiliency. Felicia's a great example of that. After everything that happened, she maintained an attitude of gratitude. I remember the first day she called and she was able to walk without well, get on that walk, just getting on the walker first, and then she took some steps, and we were all shouting, literally all
Yeah.
shouting when she called, what? Oh no, girl, what? So she had that attitude of gratitude, and it increased her mental strength, increased her psychological well-being, her physical health as well, because she was able to be thankful and move past what was going on. When we talk about the benefit, those are just some of the benefits. I could name others. I will put this one, I'll name a few more. It impacts your relationship with others. What do you think about that before I say my thoughts, Felicia, about how does gratitude, being a person of gratitude, how can that impact your relationship with others?
Just simply expressing your appreciation for all the people that hung in there with you, the people that take their time to offer help. I learned a lot about this test, meaning there were at some point a time where I felt, and that's just being truthful. I felt like that there were not, I didn't get the support from people that I thought I would. I'm gonna just put it like that in simple. But for the most part, the people that stuck by my side, like you and Sonia, Donnie, Cedric, and I can go on, my family. I just wanted to express to them how it meant so much to me, just doing the small things. Yesterday I called Sonia. I was like, hey, I need a ride. I can't drive any longer. I forgot to say that. So it's very frustrating not being able to drive, but it's just the small things that I like to express to people how grateful or how thankful I am for them. And her calling me right back, hey, after my meeting, I'll be right there. I've never got any sighing or, oh, my plate is full. Everybody try to help. That means so much to me. And I try to tell them that every chance I get.
And that is so important. Just a simple thank you can mean so
Mhm.
much to somebody. And Felicia is one who will do that. When girl, I just took you to the doctor on my way to work. And for me, it was just like, okay, we're gonna leave a little, I'm gonna get you a little early so I can be on time for work. And she's like, oh, that's fine. I get there early, I might leave early. So but she always has that attitude of gratitude. And think about it. Aren't you more comfortable around people who have an attitude of gratitude as opposed to somebody who is grumpy all the time? Because people with that attitude of gratitude are just generally more upbeat, as opposed to, oh, this is what's going on. Really, I don't want to hear that. After a while, it gets old. So yeah, that gratitude, it just impacts you. So how do we practice gratitude? Here's some ways. First, you can journal. Um, Write down things you're grateful for. When you're feeling your worst, that is the best time to practice to journal about what you're thankful for. There's a verse in the Bible that says, in everything, give thanks. It does not say because of everything. It says in it. And Felicia is a perfect example. She wasn't thankful for the wreck, but she was still a thankful person and she found things to be thankful for in the midst of it. So when you're feeling depressed, anxious, overwhelmed, so one thing to do to help it is to not focus on what's causing you to feel depressed, what's causing you to feel anxious, what's causing you to feel overwhelmed. Journal, write about things that can make you feel good, make you that you're thankful for. Um, you can also do it by making a gratitude jar or a gratitude box, where at the end of every day you put something in there that you're thankful for. Just get a strip of paper and maybe get a post-it note pad. And every day you're going to put something in there that you are thankful for. What do you think about those ideas of writing what you're thankful for, Felicia?
I started journaling once I was able to use my hands. I started journaling once I got to cheer. That was my first intense rehab, and I started journaling each day, whether it was a good day, whether it was a bad day, whether it was an emotional day. I journaled. I haven't journaled lately, but it's really good to release those feelings, and it really helped me keep my morale up. Uh, that's it.
Yeah, it can be so simple. And it does, it gets another benefit to journaling in general. It allows you to get some of that emotion out. It's just all in here and you can be so heavy. Just the act of writing it out or even typing it out allows you to get some of that negative thoughts or energy out. Another thing is give. And not just give money, give of yourself, volunteer. Um, when you're able to do something simple, and volunteering doesn't have to mean I'm going and do something magnanimous. Volunteering is more than I'm going to feed the homeless on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Volunteering might be just go and take somebody to the doctor because they need a ride. Volunteering might be just cooking an extra portion of what you're cooking and taking it to someone who is ill or someone who is financially strapped. Giving or volunteering simply could be calling someone who just needs to talk. But give. It's more than just money, it's giving of yourself. At my sister's church, a friend of hers, Nelson, he has this statement, a phrase, the ministry of presence, where sometimes it's just being there for someone. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. You just be present, maybe just sitting there. So there's so many ways to give of yourself. And that's a way of showing gratitude. I'm thankful for whatever I have, big, little, no matter what, so much so that I want to do something for you. What do you think about giving as a way of showing gratitude?
Well, sometimes it doesn't hurt when someone does something does something for you. What I've been doing is sometimes I'll give them a gift card. You know how we are as family. Y'all don't like to take money, or if I say, "Let's put some gas in your car," are you crazy? You know, I'm not. You don't have to put gas in my car. So sometimes I'll just give out a gift card, or I'll try to be slick and say, "Hey, I'm hungry. You know, drive me to get something to eat," and then I'll try to treat one of y'all to lunch or something, because um it's not easy um having the time sometimes to do what you really want to do for people. So when someone takes their time to come pick me up from therapy, or drop me off to therapy, or take me to the grocery store, you want to show people your appreciation, and that their time is important and valuable as well. So you want to tell them thank you in your own way.
And that is true. One thing I want to point out about that, people who are givers have difficulty receiving.
That is so true.
And having been on that side of the fence and still kind of there, I will say this to all the givers out there who want to give and don't want to receive: stop taking that other person's blessing. They're going to be blessed by giving to you. You have given to them. Let them be blessed by receiving what they want to give. Okay, now that's one is easy for me to preach than to practice. So I'm working on practicing what I preach about that. But it is true. You are taking away their blessing and I'm really working on it. And went through some interesting times, beginning of COVID, not working. And, yeah, when someone wanted to give me something, it was like, no, never mind, I'm good. Wasn't good at all, but learning how to just give. So yeah, for all you givers out there, it's okay to receive. Meditate. There's so many meditation, or for some has negative kind of eerie thoughts, but it's really being able to allow yourself to sit in a quiet place, focus, deep breathe, decompress, and relax. Just sit there. In addition to meditation, it's also prayer. And prayer and meditation are not the same thing. Prayer is your time in communication with God. You can meditate on his word by sitting there in the quiet and listening to him, but meditation about just being quiet, calming your body, mind, and soul. Prayer, talking to God, expressing your thankfulness, your gratitude, asking your questions. But that prayer and meditation can be very, very, very beneficial. Any comments on prayer and meditation, Felicia?
Yes. In the mornings, at 5:30, we're on the prayer line, Sonia and I, with a group that she's been involved with for probably over 25
25
years.
years.
Yeah. And so while I was in a hospital, again, when I couldn't lift my body, lift my head, my arms, Sonia would spend a night with me. She said, no one should ever be in the hospital by themselves. And your big sister and my big cousin made sure that she spent the night with me. And so one morning, I looked over and I heard her just shouting and praising God. And I was like, what's going on over there? And I heard a whole bunch of people, but again, I couldn't move my head. I moved my eyes to see. And she said, oh, we've been praying for her. She's opened her eyes and she walked over so I can say hi to everybody. And I've been on the prayer line with them ever since, and it makes a difference. Sometimes I take strong meds at night. So in the mornings, when I answer the phone, sometimes they laugh because I might kind of clock out for a minute because my medication, keeps me kind of sleepy. But I enjoy the prayer and the fellowship in the mornings with those ladies. I think it's about 8 of us that be on the phone.
And that's it, that taking time to pray, starting your day off in prayer, there's going to be some gratitude, in that. And that's a way, again, starting your day with that attitude of gratitude, with that mindset, it tends to set the day. It starts it off. It gives it it's a good way to start it. Let me see. And the last one is smile. Just simply smile. Share a smile with someone.
Mhm.
Um, think about it. If you're having just one of those days, and we all have them, some we succumb to that feeling of, really? So when you're in that really kind of day, and just or even can be a random person just smiles and say, how you doing? You're like, oh, you want to say horrible, but they just smiled at you and said, how are you doing? You tend to just go, oh. And in that moment, for that second, you stop and you might get out of that mood you're in. One thing else I wanted to say about gratitude, be willing to just show gratitude in unusual ways. One of the things I like to do, if I go out to eat or go to when I used to go to fast food restaurants, if I got really good customer service, I would always ask for the manager. When you're in the drive-through, they like, you want the manager? Oh Lord, what did I do? And I wanted to say, this, your employee was so good. I want to make sure you know how good they are. And I've done it at restaurants, I've done it in stores. I was at Lowe's one time and I just couldn't find what I was looking for. And finally I stopped one person and they didn't even know what I was talking about. I was like, but they're like, hold on. I think I know what you mean, but I'm going to take you to this other employee. So they walked me to another employee who knew what I needed, how to fix it, and they, showed me what I needed. So before I left, I made sure I found the manager because both employees were very good. The first one couldn't help, but got me help. So when you're in those situations, take time out and appreciate people. Show gratitude. And it doesn't have to be anything big. I just stopped for a few minutes to find a manager and say, hey, these people were awesome. And they said, well, could you please go online and, fill out the thing and give them their kudos. That's how they really get recognized. And I did. And it's a simple thing. It took a few minutes out of my life, not a lot. So do things to just show gratitude. Smile at the cashier when you go to the grocery store and ask, how are you today? How's your day? But just those simple things can make someone feel good. You might have someone say, you know what, no one's asked me that all day. You made my day. So be willing to make someone's day just by being you. Before we do our call to action, any other comments on gratitude or what are some things you do?
For me,
Mm-hmm.
gift cards.
Yeah,
Just saying thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just it's something. It could be as simple as a hug.
Mm-hmm. You know,
Monthly, I have an assessment that I do with my physical therapist, and they look at it as if this is my job, this is what I'm supposed to do. But I sit down and I express to them how they use their gift to help me or help others get well. Their gift is part of our healing. And I always express to them how I appreciate the time that they take with me, whether I'm having a good day physically, mentally, or emotionally, how they hang in there with me and they help me complete my goals. Each time we do an assessment, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, the next assessment, and how they help me get to where I need to be. My goal is to learn how to walk again without my walker. I just recently graduated to crutches, and I'm really proud about that. So I like to express how thankful I am for having them because just because you in any type of occupation doesn't mean that you put your all into it. But
mm-hmm.
I've been blessed to have an occupational therapist, a water therapist, a physical therapist, and they all, I mean, it's intense, but I can tell that they really love what they're doing. And I express how I feel about them helping me get to that milestone of being able to walk one day without any type of medical equipment.
Awesome. Um, and I'll just throw this in. All of those out there who have children, if your child has a teacher, this is a very, very, very difficult time. And you may not be aware, but I know of three people working in schools, a counselor and two teachers in the last 2 weeks have had either a heart attack or a stroke because of the stress. In each case, it was the stress they're dealing with.
Mm.
Show them some love, show them some gratitude. Don't wait to Teacher Appreciation Week to show them some appreciation, because just hearing that, and the fourth person whose stress level is off the top, that day when I talked to say, a parent came in today and I was just freaking out because I just couldn't take another thing going on. And they knew what my favorite candy was, and they brought me some candy. And it was something that simple that she said, I knew I could hang a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate your teachers, principals, counselors. They're having a rough time. My call to action, I always like to end with some things to do. So number one, daily, find something to be grateful for. Start your gratitude journal, a gratitude jar, a gratitude box where you write something down every day. I challenge you every day for 30 days, write something positive. It can be more than one, but at least write something down at the end of the day for 30 days and see how it makes you feel. Find a way to give and be willing to receive.
That's important.
Yeah, you got to be willing to receive. I'm still working on it. I've gotten so much better, but I could be a little better. Find a way to give and receive, and practice self-care. I'm working on that one. For my birthday week, I gave myself a week, went down to Fredericksburg with a friend, did wine tasting every day. It was great. But practice that. That was self-care, because like I said, I'm more of the giver than the receiver. So to take a week off and go and play, so out of the norm for me. But it was so beneficial. And I always like to say, be politically aware. We just had an election here in Texas, and was talking to somebody right before we got on tonight, and we were talking about the election results. And he was like, I wasn't sure about some of these things. And, I always talk about how we can, what we can do to be more aware about our voting. But we've got to do that. This impacts your life. Don't think that your vote doesn't matter. So be politically aware and vote in every election, but be aware about that. And mask up. COVID's not gone. Don't know when it's going to completely go away. It's still here, mask up. But tonight was all about being able to practice gratitude. It can improve your physical health, your mental health, your overall well-being. So thank you for all that were listening tonight. And thank you, Felicia. Did you have a final thing you might want to say?
Yes. I just want to encourage someone out there that may be going through what I'm going through, if not worse, may have just had a tragic to happen to them, in their family or to themselves. I just want to encourage each and every one of these people that joy come in the morning. I told you the last segment we did on hope, that hope for me was being able to say good morning, each morning. And I just want to encourage someone else, just don't give up. There's so much to be grateful for. And then with that, just remember that every day is the first day of the rest of your life. There's no reason to give up.
Thank you so much. So I do want to show gratitude to you for being here. Thank you so much for showing up tonight and being a part of this conversation just about gratitude. And so I encourage all of you out there, show some gratitude. I'm Bronwyn Lucas with Able Counseling and Consulting. If you find your life stressed, depressed, any other mental health issues, reach out. If I'm not the therapist for you, I will help you find some. You can DM me or call 682-272-3949. I'm here to help you become a better you. Thank you and see you guys next week. Thanks again, Felicia.
You're welcome. Thank you, cousin.
Okay, my baby cousin.